Greetings and salutations to all students. This presentation talks about how to get from being a 10th grader to a professional engineer in 10 years or less. My name is Luke Setzer and I have a professional engineering license as a mechanical engineer, which qualifies me to make this presentation to you today. First, a disclaimer. This presentation aims only to get you, the student, to begin thinking about optimizing a path between high school and the professional engineer license. You must do your own research. You must adapt it to fit your specific circumstances. You must check the latest facts. Be a good engineer. Do your own thinking, please. Now for the agenda. 4 parts. Fundamentals, analysis, recommendations, conclusions. First, the fundamentals. I'll be giving you an executive summary, introduction, assumptions, core concepts, basic attitudes to adopt. So let's get started. First, the executive summary. High school students considering a career in engineering face numerous challenges. Many of these challenges result from ignorance of the nature of engineering. Other challenges arise from an absence of proven, though seldom discussed, long-range strategies for success. This presentation seeks to inform high school students about how to educate themselves and ultimately achieve the gold standard of engineering, the professional engineer or PE license. It can also help anyone at any stage of progress in engineering to achieve that worthy goal. Now for an introduction. Engineering covers a wide range of disciplines and empowers its practitioners to pursue careers in technology and management while doing really cool stuff. Although many engineering jobs do not require a state engineering license, a substantial number do, especially if the engineering degree holder seeks self-employment to practice the craft before the public. All states have laws regulating this profession that demand high standards of competence from these professional engineers. States require a passing grade on the PE licensing examination of such ambitious persons to protect the safety of the public. Students of engineering do themselves and the world a great service when they learn all they can about the PE license and how to earn it in the shortest possible time. Possession of a PE license opens doors that would normally remain closed. This presentation will show, step by step, how to navigate effectively through the pernicious educational labyrinth from high school to community college to universities to student internship to graduation through graduate school to the final achievement of the PE license and beyond. Now for some assumptions. I am going to assume that you, the student, take the future seriously. You value time, energy, and money as sacred. You view education as the means to a productive career, not an end in itself. No squandering 4 years on the old man's dough, for example. You seek to learn from the experiences of others, such as myself, rather than from trial and error. And finally, you want to maximize long-range employment opportunities in an engineering discipline. Core concepts. Let's get started with high school. These are core concepts you need to know. Advanced Placement, or AP. Those are high school courses and exams that can earn you college credit. Read more about them at collegeboard.com. Autodidact. This is a fancy word that means a self-taught person. Auto, self, didact, teacher. If there was a single word I wanted you to learn from this presentation, it is autodidact. It is crucial to your future. You must become an autodidact to succeed as an engineer. Dual enrollment, or DE. Those are college courses offered to high school students for earned credit toward both the high school diploma and a college degree. Your high school guidance counselor can tell you all about that. Finally, International Baccalaureate, or IB, which is similar to AP, but all courses are integrated along a common theme of global community. Read more at ib.org. Next, core concepts for college. The Accreditation Board for Engineering and Technology, ABET, That is the nonprofit organization that reviews, approves, and certifies curricula for select undergraduate schools of applied science, computing, engineering, and technology, critical to your future as an engineer. Cooperative education, or co-op, widely practiced method of experiential learning involving alternating semesters of school and work. If you talk to currently practicing engineers, you'll learn that many of them started their careers as co-op students. More college core concepts. EIT, Engineer in Training. That is the first of 2 examinations required to earn a license to practice engineering before the public, and it is also what you call such a person who has passed such an examination. The Fundamentals of Engineering, FE, which is basically the same as the EIT examination. And finally, the PE, or Professional Engineer. That is the second of 2 examinations required to earn a license, so you can practice engineering before the public, and the title a person earns when he passes that kind of an examination. Other core concepts. You've probably heard the terms book smarts and street smarts, and you know the difference between the two. The first is formal, the second is informal. They're both necessary for doing well as an engineer, and I will show you how to get to both in an effective manner. Now for some basic attitudes you need to adopt. Let's first talk about the 4 basic human needs. There are many different models of human needs in the world of psychology. My favorite comes from various sources, all tied together along 4 common themes. You've got a body, mind, emotions, and soul, which reflect the need for acting, the need for knowing, the need for bonding, and the need for meaning. Psychologically, these all reduce to a common denominator, the need for control. So the question becomes how to achieve the control you need. Let's begin by taking a look at Stephen Covey's 8 Habits. He is a very widely respected organizational guru and author who has published 2 books, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People and The 8th Habit, which you can listen to in highly abridged form from audible.com, 2 hours 25 minutes. And he has what he calls the maturity continuum, where you progress from dependence to independence to interdependence to effectiveness to greatness. Let's first talk about moving from dependence to independence with the first 3 habits, which are: be proactive, means take action, don't just react. Begin with the end in mind, know what your goal is, and then put first things first so you can achieve that goal. Seems straightforward enough, but you would be shocked at how many adults do not even practice the first 3 habits. To move from independence to interdependence, which is simply interdependence among independent people, the people involved have to think win-win, seek first to understand and then to be understood, and then synergize with each other. This becomes very important when you get into your co-oping especially, and you find yourself in a professional workplace. To move from interdependence to effectiveness, you must commit to a continuous improvement, which he calls sharpen the saw. Imagine a lumberjack who refuses to take time out to sharpen his saw. He becomes very ineffective very quickly because his saw becomes dull, and it takes him an eternity just to cut down one tree. So remember, the first 6 habits are important. To be truly effective, however, you must sharpen the saw. And finally, to move from the effectiveness of a professional to the greatness of a world leader, you must practice the 8th habit. Find your voice and inspire others to find theirs, which is what I'm doing now with this video. So I'm not going to go into further detail on these 8 habits. If you want to know about them, pay the $10.47 at audible.com to download the abridged audiobook. But these are important, and I cannot think of Well, I can hardly think of a few books that would be more apt for you to read or listen to right now, because this is a widely used set of books in many professional workplaces. You would do well to familiarize yourself with this material. Which brings us to the meaning of productive work. If you want to set your soul on fire to do all the work needed to become an engineer, you need to have some sort of deep spiritual meaning for work. My favorite comes from Ayn Rand in her novel The Fountainhead, where she described the right career and productive work as taking on the nature and meaning of the combination of holy sacrament, Indian torture, and sexual ecstasy. So, find the right career, do the right kind of work, and you too can experience that kind of a peaked flow state on a regular basis. To put it in simpler terms, pick the right career and live productively, and you can satisfy all four of your basic human needs elegantly. My favorite essay on this is How to Choose a Career by Alex Epstein, which you can read at his website, alexepstein.com. And finally, this is important also, excellence versus adequacy. Bottom line is that ABET accreditation, along with cooperative education, marks the two qualities of engineering school that you want to consider when you're shopping for schools. If they lack one or both of these, forget it. Don't consider them. Many schools will tout themselves as excellent, but ABET has the final say regarding whether or not they are adequate. So you want to consider the overall quality of life for the next 4 years, not just their alleged excellence. So some schools might be excellent, but as far as the lifestyle goes, it may not suit you at all for various reasons, which we'll explore in a bit. Voltaire once said, "The perfect is the enemy of the good." I have my own corollary to that. The excellent is the enemy of the adequate. Bottom line is, work smarter, not harder. Part 2, analysis. We'll look at this from high school through undergraduate school to graduate school to professional engineering licensure. Getting started with high school. First thing you want to understand is that the National Council of Examiners for Engineering and Surveying, NCEES, has responsibility for administering the FE and PE examinations. So what you want to do is go to their website, ncees.org, and download the free FE Supplied Reference Handbook. You're going to download that booklet, which is a couple of hundred pages long, and review it to get an idea of what a future in engineering offers, and to see what engineering disciplines most interest you. And you need this absolutely essential knowledge. State licensing boards require an undergraduate degree from an ABET accredited school. So go to abet.org, that's abet.org, to learn which schools have accreditation in the disciplines you like. Only consider ABET accredited schools which offer cooperative education programs. Look in your home state first for the best deals on college transfer credits and in-state tuition. In short, always bet on ABET. The black box of college trap. This gets so many people. First of all, it's crazy to wait until 12th grade to start shopping for schools. You should do that earlier. If you're in 10th grade, start thinking about what engineering schools you would like. Why? Let me explain. So many high school students see themselves as high school graduates entering this black box called college, being processed in some fashion, and coming out as college graduates who are readily employable. It doesn't quite work that way. Let me share this story from one college student who posted this paragraph at rebirthofreason.com. I found college to be much less stimulating than high school since I went to a good high school, and much of early college was filled up taking basic required courses which were repeats of high school or elementary school. We had to take a class in using the library card catalog. This is something I had been doing since the first grade. Ugh! This video, if you follow the steps within it, will help you to avoid that black box trap and bypass the elementary nonsense that entraps so many first-year college students. Let's learn how to do that. Your main goals in high school. You will unpack the black box of a college curriculum using the Great Engineering Workbook, which you can download via a link in the information section of this YouTube video. Using that technique, you will then determine which courses will contribute to your future as an engineer. And then you will use that to earn as much useful college credit in high school as you possibly can with a combination of AP, DE, and IB courses. Let's take a look at the Great Engineering Workbook. I've got 6 years laid out on this worksheet. This currently has high school years 11 and 12. Make sure you understand the meaning of all this. The first column shows the year. Then I've got it broken down into 3 semesters: summer, fall, and spring. SHC, semester hours credit. SCF, semesterly cash flow. And at the end of the year, YCF, yearly cash flow. In addition, in the boldface, I've got special notes here for things that you need to do to prepare for upcoming courses, special action items, and in capital bold, the financial aid and living expenses you'll experience over the coming high school and college years. So, for example, while you're living at home with mom and dad or whoever's been raising you, you'll have essentially 0 living expenses. However, there are some expenses that you'll want to incur if you want to get a head start on college while you're still in high school, such as, for example, purchasing high-powered calculators and even a laptop computer, as well as taking the PSAT and SAT examinations that are common for high school students preparing for college. There are also fees associated with the AP examinations, so it's important to understand that there will be some expenditures needed, however small, while you're in high school. So you'll want to prepare for that and perhaps even apply for financial aid if such a thing is available to you in high school. It's important for me to emphasize that the college credit you can earn in high school has a cash value equivalent to the tuition that you would normally pay at university. So frequently it behooves you not to take a minimum wage summer job in favor of taking dual enrollment courses during the summer if you can at no cost or little cost to you. So what I've done in this particular spreadsheet as an example, which you'll need to massage later for your own purposes, is I've assumed a student in Brevard County, Florida, who is able to go to dual enrollment summer school and take AP courses at his high school. A normal course load for a full-time college student is 8 to 9 hours during the summer and 12 to 18 hours during the fall and spring. Now you'll notice that I've got 8 hours this first summer and 6 hours the second summer. I've got 12 hours here, 12 hours here, 11 hours here, and 9 hours here. The AP courses are challenging. They are equivalent to college level courses that you're taking in high school. And it's important that you get a mastery of those because you're expected to take an examination at the end of the year, and those scores on those examinations range from 1, which is basically no credit, to 5, which is guaranteed full credit. So you want to do your best to earn 5s on all of those AP courses. You'll have to work closely with your high school teachers and counselors to get your arms around that. But it's important to make sure that you have enough time scheduled, slack time, by taking perhaps study hall or even physical education or other classes don't take much time outside the actual class time. So you want to make sure that you've got enough time to do all of the work required for those college level, college credit earning courses, and pick easy courses for the remainder of the time that you're required to be at high school. It's also important as you lay this out, and this will become more obvious as we get into the college years of the spreadsheet, that some courses are prerequisites to other courses, so it's important to get those courses done early enough, since your AP scores don't clear until July of the following summer, to make sure that you get those scores accredited to your college transcript and can take the courses that depend on those passing grades. Now for the tools of the trade. One of my favorite calculators, which has just come out in the last couple of years, the TI Inspire CAS, that's Computer Algebra System Calculator and Software. And what's great about this is it's powerful, accepted on AP exams. You can exchange native files with your PC. It's intuitive, but it has downsides. You can't do assembly language programming. You can't do 3D graphics, at least not very easily, and there are no current applications for engineering for this particular tool. To learn more, go to TI-Inspire, that's TI-NSPIRE.com. Another commonly used tool is the TI-89 Titanium. It's powerful, it's accepted on AP exams. You can do assembly language on it, you can do 3D graphics on it, and it does have free engineering applications. But it is older technology, it has a clunky PC interface, and it is less intuitive. Go to education.ti.com to learn more. AP review manuals. Absolutely, I recommend getting these from Amazon. They are comprehensive treatments of subject foundations, excellent guides for scoring well in the AP exams, help you to solidify classroom learning, and given how much tuition costs, they could literally be worth their weight in gold. There are also online courses related to AP and DE. OpenCourseWare from MIT at ocw.mit.edu has online material for free to supplement your AP courses. Many community colleges now teach courses online, so check with your state community college network. Get easy college credit that way. Well, I won't say easy, but certainly less onerous. For an example of this, check out Brevard Community College in Cocoa, Florida at brevardcc.edu. That's www.brevardcc.edu for an example of many online courses that a community college can offer. I also recommend Pearson Higher Education e-learning. That's www.pearsonhighered.com/e-learning to find a vast array of tools you can use in formal classes or as an autodidact. Finally, as far as I know, anyone can sit for an AP exam regardless of having taken an AP course, so consider this option if your high school offers no AP or DE. Let's talk about liberal arts courses. All engineering schools require some baseline number of core hours in English, humanities, and other liberal arts. So your choice of engineering school will depend in part on these requirements, what kind of curriculum you want. Because some people love them, some people hate them. Whether you love them or hate them, you can find shortcuts to make them less onerous, such as by getting high school college credits for English, history, and other subjects. A great little book you can find on Amazon is Your Guide to Slide, The Slacker's Guide to College by Brady Lassard. Very interesting read. I encourage you to find that and read it. So to leverage your time, because you're going to be quite busy pursuing college credits in high school, consider audiobooks, which leverage your time. You can listen to books while you're walking, dining, and so forth. Sources include audible.com, LibriVox.org, and if you want to get text of classic out-of-print books that are no longer copyright protected, go to Gutenberg, Gutenberg.org. And if you want to turn them into audiobooks, there is software available at sayvoice.com or naturalreaders.com. You want to be careful when you do things like that, making your own audiobooks, that you avoid copyright violations, especially if you do what I'm about to show you on the next slide. What I call audiobooks by brute force. You can order cheap used books on Amazon, and I say cheap because you're going to destroy them in the next step. Remove the binders using a large cutter at Office Depot or other print shop or office supply store. Then run the pages through an optical character recognition scanner to convert them to portable document format. That's OCR and PDF, using a double-sided fast auto-feed scanner such as an HP, that's Hewlett-Packard, N6010 ScanJet. Then you use Adobe Acrobat to crop the header, footer, and front and back material. Then you convert the PDF file to text using PDF to Word, which you can get at verypdf.com/PDF2Word. Finally, you can convert the new text file to a set of 1-hour MP3 files using Natural Reader from naturalreaders.com. As I said, this is brute force. It's a last resort if everything else fails. And of course, if you do this for your own personal use, and I'm not a lawyer, but as far as I can tell, you will not get in trouble with the copyright people. But if you go sharing this through file sharing networks, forget it. You're busted. Don't do it. And again, I'm not a lawyer, so I advise you to do this at your own risk, and only if you have ready access to these resources. It's very important while you're still in high school to become skilled at personal financial management. The best way to do that is to get Quicken, the popular personal financial management software package, at quicken.intuit.com, or you can use something else like Microsoft Money. There are other packages, but by far Quicken is the most widely used, and it's the one I use. You'll also only want to use financial services, such as banks, that are fully compatible with that particular choice of software, because you're going to download transactions on a daily basis into your Quicken file for reconciliation immediately. You want to get in the habit of looking at every financial issue in terms of assets, liabilities, incomes, and expenses. And if you don't know what those are, become an autodidact and teach yourself. I have an article online which you can find via Google called Experiencing Objectivism Through Quicken, which gives much more detail on this. Finally, while you're in high school, I recommend you go ahead and get the EIT Reference Manual and its Solutions Manual. You can get it from ppi2pass.com. It is a comprehensive treatment of the engineering foundations that you will need, an excellent reference for college courses, and it helps to solidify your decision on an engineering discipline. This brings us to undergraduate school and the ugly truth about universities. There are many blowhards in university, and let me explain how this works. Universities often rely upon research for much of their funding. They hire faculty because of their ability to attract research grants, not because of their ability to teach. They also hire foreign nationals to teach undergraduate students, and foreign nationals often speak English poorly. So you end up paying good money for bad instructors. Let me repeat that, because you will find this out yourself. You will pay good money for bad instructors. Not all the time, but often enough to be irritating. So this makes it even more critical that you commit to becoming an autodidact, a self-instructor. Your main goals for undergraduate school. You want to earn all remaining credits that you can, such as your English, your humanities, your history, whatever else is required of the university you select, at your local community college before transferring to engineering school. Most engineering schools today are at public universities that have arrangements with community colleges in that state to allow you to get often up to 64 credit hours of undergraduate credit before transferring to the university. Community colleges are far less expensive. You can live at home with mom and dad or whoever raised you and get those out of the way and save literally tens of thousands of dollars that way. As soon as you get into engineering school, you want to commence cooperative education as soon as possible. Not just for the job experience, not just for the cash flow, but for autodidactic reasons, which will become obvious shortly. You want to select an employer, ideally, who offers meaningful work supervision under a licensed PE, seamless transition to full-time employment after graduation, and full financing of a master's degree as an employee benefit once you start working full-time. And the reason that you will especially like cooperative education is so that you can use the free time outside work while you're doing cooperative education to prepare for your upcoming courses as an autodidact. And finally, you want to learn how to travel lightly and remain nomadically mobile. And that will become obvious shortly. Back to the Great Engineering Workbook. Here we have years 1 and 2 at University of Central Florida, which is the example I selected. And you'll notice that I've wrapped up the remaining core classes at BCC in this example. That's Brevard Community College. And that only costs, in terms of tuition costs, about half what it would cost to take a course at UCF. So it's very important that you focus on getting those courses out of the way at the community college that you can before you go to engineering school. You'll also start incurring some significant expenses because as a co-op, unless you are going to work in an area that has excellent metropolitan transportation and go to school that has the same kind of transportation, you're going to have to get your own automobile or find someone who can let you use it for a long period of time, such as a close family member. So I've just thrown some numbers in here to give you a general idea about what sorts of expenses you'll face. The harsh reality is the tuition only represents a small fraction of your total college cost. A great deal of your college cost results simply from the cost of living. Because if you have to move away from your parents' house, you're going to have to pay for rent, you're going to have to pay for utilities, you're going to have to pay for all the other miscellaneous expenses, such as food, clothing, and shelter, that normally mom and dad have been financing. Now you get to pick up the tab, which should drive home to you the importance of financial aid, getting those scholarships, getting those grants, and in a worst case, getting those student loans to see you through the 4 years of college. Fortunately, as a cooperative education student, you can earn a substantial amount of money, and if you live frugally enough, you should be able to have enough left over to help pay for a good chunk of your own college expenses. So what I've shown here is a combination of all the expenses and all the financial aid and a neutral cash flow at the end of the year for year 1. And for year 2, more of the same. There's actually a surplus of $2,200, which will get eaten in year 3, as you'll see shortly. As you can see, managing cash flow is very important, and that's why I'm trying to drive home to you to get in the habit while you're in high school of using Quicken so you can get an idea of just how to manage your cash flow in an effective manner. You'll see that I've suggested here to buy this is for mechanical engineering, but you'll get a PE reference manual before you start the main co-op term for your first co-op semester, and while you're doing that you'll be studying these courses autodidactically which are coming up, so that if you have a blue-heart incompetent professor you won't be totally blindsided. You'll already have a solid groundwork laid, and we'll learn how to do that in just a bit. But first let's talk about why nomadically mobile. When I was a cooperative education student back in the mid-1980s, I took mechanical engineering courses at North Carolina State University in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I was fortunate enough to get a cooperative education job with NASA at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. So every semester for 4 co-op terms, or 8 total semesters, I had to pack up my things and move. I'd go to school one semester, pack up, make that 600-mile drive to Florida, then I'd work for a semester. And I'd pack up things, back up to North Carolina, go to school for a semester, back and forth, and I finally learned, after much hard lessons on my part, how to pack lightly. So let me share those experiences with you. Cooperative education, as I said, usually means packing and moving every semester. It requires living in pre-furnished housing situations, ideally with their own linens, their own cookware provided. A great service to help you in that regard is roommates.com to help you find your housing needs for work and even for school. So, in a perfect world, you will only need to pack 1 suitcase of clothing, 1 travel case of books with laptop, and 1 cell phone. As I said, the fundamental human need is control. Control represents your ideal housing situation, with your own bedroom, your own bathroom, close access to laundry and kitchen, close access to a private mailbox, walking distance to class, no deposits, no binding leases, congenial housemates, extremely affordable, 1 low, flat, all-inclusive monthly rental rate. I'm not saying you'll always get all those, but that is the ideal towards which you want to strive. But even then, there are limits to peaceful enjoyment. So make the library your best friend for the duration of your college career. Landlord-tenant laws say you have the right to peaceful enjoyment of your rented property, but do not expect peace during normal waking hours. Why? Different people have different ideas of what peaceful enjoyment is. Your idea might be total silence. Your housemate's idea might be listening to head-banging caterwauling. So, be careful, be warned, be proactive. Pack all your things that you need for the day in your business travel case before you head out. Plan to spend the whole day on campus, in class, or at co-op work, or in your local library if you want to get any studying done. Create no false expectations of adequately studious peace and quiet during normal waking hours in your living space. Which begs the question, why not dormitories? I lived in dormitories during my entire college career when I was not a co-op student. And I would give it a mixed review. They're crowded, they're noisy. I didn't really truly enjoy it until I finally got a room to myself during my upperclassmen years. Normally you'll have to share it with roommates. Here's a good horror story from someone who had roommates from hell. Let's see what he had to say about it. In my first night in the dorm, someone poked all the peepholes out of the doors in our hallway and squeezed toothpaste through them. Someone's clothes, covered in excrement, were left in the showers. The staff left them there for a week. My roommate didn't show up until at 4 a.m. I woke to the sound of running water. We didn't have a sink. He was urinating in my other roommate's dresser drawer. I came home later that week to find the late-night urinator going through my drawer. "Don't worry," he said. "I'm not taking your things. I just stashed my pot in your drawer." Both my roommates smoked cigarettes constantly. I have respiratory issues. They had both put down non-smoker on their housing surveys. Now, I never had an experience this bad, but I can see how it could happen easily to you. Be warned. Let's talk more about the nomadic mobility. The college student I just described packed up and left in a hurry, got his off-campus housing set up. Living lightly reduces moving stresses and makes rapid escapes far easier. You get the EIT and PE reference manuals, and they will alleviate your need to keep textbooks. Get a private mailbox via the UPS store, upsstore.com, and keep it for your college career. Buy and sell textbooks via Amazon at amazon.com and not the rip-off college bookstore. Now, I want to emphasize that a private mailbox is great. It's a little expensive. It's an extra fee you've got to pay every month, but it frees you completely from your dependence on a particular living address. You never have to worry about leaving in a hurry and getting mail sent to your old address to be destroyed by your vicious roommates. Could be well worth the cost. And yes, college bookstores are rip-offs. I highly recommend Amazon because you can buy and sell your textbooks virtually for a wash, buying them for a certain cost and selling them at that same cost at the end of the term. So please consider that. More on nomadic mobility. Learn everything you can about how to eat with little or no cooking or refrigeration. And you can get this little pot called the Small Micro Cooker from pamperedchef.com. Use it as a use the community microwave oven so you don't even have to have your own microwave. And if you want coaching on diet and exercise, beachbody.com has some great material there at no cost. Still more on nomadic mobility. Upright luggage can carry clean clothes on moves and dirty clothes to laundry. You can use it as a hamper. It's another space saver. And of course, your upright business travel laptop case can chain right to that luggage so you can have your own little moving train when you're going from place to place. If you want to avoid getting a printer, get pdf995.com free software. So you can print everything to PDF files and then take those PDF files on a thumb drive to the College Print Center. Print them there. That's an even bigger help with your nomadic mobility. And finally, just to drive home the importance of keeping your stuff to a minimum, go to YouTube and check out George Carlin's great little comedy skit on stuff. Here's a little passage from it. That's the whole meaning of life, isn't it? Trying to find a place for your stuff. That's all your house is. Your house is just a place for your stuff. If you didn't have so much stuff, you wouldn't need a house. You'd just be walking around all the time. That's all your house is. It's a pile of stuff with a cover on it. When you leave your stuff, you've got to lock it up. You wouldn't want somebody to come and take some of your stuff. Which brings us to the subject of living off campus. According to the college student who had to storm away from his roommates from hell, I had a scholarship which included housing. It was not worth the subsidy. Life off campus is simply what you make of it. You choose your roommates and your hours and your life just as you would as an adult with a job. So consider that as you consider how to satisfy best your fundamental need for control. Outside interests. There are a zillion outside interests that can distract you while you're in undergraduate school. As far as worthwhile ones, I encourage you to join your engineering society for your particular discipline. For example, mechanical engineers have the American Society for Mechanical Engineers, ASME.org, which will in all likelihood have a student chapter on your campus, as will all of your disciplines. So check out the student versions of engineering societies on your campus. Join them, participate, learn all you can. While you're co-oping, you'll probably have time to meet people outside of work of common interest. So I'd check out meetup.com. They have millions of members, thousands of interests, tens of thousands of groups all over the world. So if you've got interests you'd like to meet other people to share, meetup.com is the place to be. If you want to learn more about communication and leadership, Toastmasters.org has clubs all over the world, and that's definitely a way to learn more about communication and leadership without having to spend a lot of tuition money at college on it. Cost for this is about $30 every 6 months. And finally, if you want to find other common interest groups, Google.com, just search that for your area to find people that you will enjoy meeting. But whatever you do, always heed Stephen Covey's warning. The main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. How do you keep the main thing main? Stephen Covey talks about roles. He suggests breaking your life down into 8 major roles. Those roles or categories can help you to sort the vital few from the trivial many. He only suggests possible categories, but I've concluded based on my analysis of all human conditions across all times that there are 8 major roles common to all people. So when you identify those roles, they can help you to stay focused as you struggle through engineering school and the challenging engineering projects you will face. Let's take a look and see how to use those to keep the main thing the main thing. 8 major roles on what I call the moral compass. Let's talk about the first 3. First is your role as an individual, which Stephen Covey calls sharpen the saw. In his planning software and papers, he talks about sharpening the saw and making sure you plan time out every week for yourself to take care of yourself as an individual. Just as important, if not more important, is your role as a producer. This is where you actually produce value in the workaday world materially to take care of your needs. Let's face it, without positive cash flow, nothing works right. So it's important to focus on your role as a producer. And in fact, it's important to produce more than you consume so you have something left over to invest. These 3 roles constitute the focus on the true north, which is reality, or what Stephen Covey called natural law, of your moral compass. So without a fundamental mastery of these 3 roles, nothing else is going to work. Let's talk about the remaining roles. Everybody starts off as an offspring. Everybody is born as a baby. You're taken care of by caretakers, parents, or someone else. So that's definitely a role where you have relationships with other people. These first 3 roles are ultimately about your relationship with natural law. The rest are about your relationships with other people. Of course, your friend, it's good to have friends. Benefactor, that is your relationship with everyone who does not fall in any of the other roles. So if you're joining a club with a lot of acquaintances who aren't really friends, but you're getting mutual benefit from that, that's a benefactor role. If you're doing charitable work, that's a benefactor role. Lover. Romantic love is one of the most powerful emotions to drive human behavior, and it's the one that trips the most people. And I'll share a story about that because I've seen it befall at least one cooperative education student with whom I used to work. If you don't get these first 3 roles oriented to the true north of your moral compass, this one can easily drive your moral compass off course and derail you from your path towards an engineering degree. I knew one cooperative education student who was approaching his senior year in college and met a young lady at a bar who already had a child from a previous relationship and fell madly in love with her. Ran off with her, eloped with her. Next thing you know, he had to quit engineering school altogether to get a job working 12 hours a day, 6 days a week as a UPS truck driver just to make ends meet with his new wife and adopted child from her previous relationship. And in the end, he wished he'd never met her, so he could have finished engineering school instead. Don't let something like this happen to you. I'm not saying don't date. I'm not saying don't fall in love. I'm saying get your priorities straight and keep them oriented to reality, please. And if you're not especially careful, you could end up taking on the role of parent, whether you like it or not. And again, all things in their proper place and their proper time. There are a lot of people cut out to be a parent, and a lot of people who are not. You need to decide whether you are or not and act accordingly. So, bottom line, these are the 8 major roles, the ones I've got in bold, number 1, 2, and 3. Those are the ones where you need to put your primary focus. Everything else will fall into place naturally when you do that, and you'll be able to keep the main thing the main thing. Covey talks about weekly time management using the moral compass. 6 steps: connect to mission, which is your main thing. Review your roles. Identify your goals for each role. Organize weekly. Exercise integrity in the moment of choice, meaning keep clear what your moral compass is, do the right thing. And finally, evaluate. And cycle through this every week. Unless you think these are just floating abstractions, let me show you 2 concrete ways in which you can apply these. The first is in Microsoft Outlook, which has categories with color codes. So you can easily set those up with the 8 major roles I've outlined and plan your appointments, contacts, tasks, notes, and emails in accordance with those categories. Likewise in Quicken, as you're spending and earning money, you can categorize all of your transactions using those 8 major categories. And it becomes very telling when you categorize your expenditures and incomes in this fashion about exactly where your material priorities fall and where you may need to make corrections. Which brings us finally to the main thing, the PE Reference Manual with Solutions Manual. This is a mechanical engineering manual. I've got a cover shown here. But there are, of course, for all of the major disciplines, the reference manual for that particular discipline, which you can get from ppi2pass.com. It's a comprehensive treatment of higher discipline-specific courses. It's the only book you need to pass the PE exam. I know. I passed the PE exam only cracking open this book. So I recommend during your co-op terms before the upcoming course semesters, do the warm-ups and concentrates for that particular subject before you do those courses. Walk in fully prepared for any blowhard loser professors who can't teach. And then after you graduate and before you take the PE exam, go back through the book and do the timed problems for each of those subjects. Speaking of those exams, the HP33S calculator is powerful. It's accepted on the FE and PE exams, unlike the TI calculators, which are not. The downside, it is less powerful than the TI calculators. So I recommend doing the TI calculators for the normal schoolwork and course preparation work. And then when you prepare for the FE and PE exams, use the HP. What about unlicensed disciplines? There are some disciplines that do not have formal licensing requirements. For example, aerospace engineering, or AE, has no required license, and physics has no required license. There is a heavy overlap between the curricula for licensed and unlicensed disciplines, and when you combine that with market forces, it suggests a synergy through dual degree programs. For example, NCSU, North Carolina State University, has mechanical engineering and aerospace engineering dual degree program with only 3 extra classes. University of North Carolina at Charlotte has a mechanical engineering and physics dual degree program with only 4 extra classes. Dual degree combined with license opens many doors, so do consider that option. Graduate school. Something to consider while you're still an undergraduate. Graduate schools require graduate record examination from GRE.org or the Graduate Management Admission Test, GMAT.org, if you're considering business, for admission. So you want to check with your school because they usually offer preparation courses for these examinations. You'll want to prepare during your junior year for one or both of these entrance exams and take them. What's nice is that those scores are valid for 5 years, and you'll want to consider what elective courses to take while you're in undergraduate school that'll serve as prerequisites for your graduate school courses. So when you shop for a graduate school, look at the curriculum and figure out if you need to get some prerequisites out of the way while you're an undergraduate. back to the Great Engineering Workbook for years 3 and 4, in this case for UCF. Fill it in with your own school later. Pressing on through the co-ops, keep doing problems from those PE manuals and solutions manuals. Prepare for your GRE, your EIT, keep that financial aid going, and finally graduate, which is what you've been working towards all this time. For your final year, you want to go to the ncees.org website. Make sure you're up to speed on the latest details for your FE or EIT exam in your state. Then register and prepare for that exam and take it. You'll also want to polish your resumes and contact employers if you still want to shop around for a job, assuming you're not totally happy with the place where you've been co-oping, or for some reason they have not extended to you a suitable transfer opportunity to full-time employment. You'll want to make heavy use of the campus resources as you bring home your undergraduate career to a close and commence full-time employment. Graduate school, concurrent working and schooling. So you're out of school, you're working full-time. You should know this. The NCES is currently planning to require PE license applicants after 2020 to hold a master's degree. Many employers will pay for your graduate school. Many graduate programs exist to serve busy professionals. So go to gradschools.com to start browsing. State licensing boards usually treat an engineering master's degree as equal to 1 year of work experience, and they also often count cooperative education time toward the work experience time requirement. Now, since you're usually required to have 4 years of experience before you can get your PE license or sit for the exam, this works very much to your advantage. So you can almost go finish your undergraduate degree, get your graduate degree, and then take the PE exam. You want to go to ncees.org for the latest details on the PE exam in your state. Prepare for the PE exam by doing the time problems. Register for the exam, take and pass the exam. And then keep your license current via continuing education units and renewal fees per the laws in your state. Just because you get the license doesn't mean you're done learning. You'll still have to maintain that license based on the laws in your state by taking ongoing education courses. Not many, but some. So be smart, stay on top of that, and use your license to your best advantage. I've covered a lot of material in this. Let's go back through this briefly in Part 3, Recommendations. Learn and embrace the 8 Habits philosophy. Commit to becoming an autodidact. Review the FE Supplied Reference Handbook. Select engineering disciplines you desire. Select ABET accredited schools of interest. Create a Microsoft Excel tabbed worksheet for each. Complete AP, DE, and IB courses that earn useful credit. Purchase the EIT reference manual with solutions. Complete remaining core classes at community college. Purchase the PE reference manual with solutions for your chosen discipline. Transfer to the engineering school of your choice. Remain nomadically mobile. Enroll in cooperative education as soon as possible. Select an employer based on current and future benefits. Spend co-op free time preparing for upcoming courses. Keep the main thing the main thing. Prepare for the GRE and take it your junior year. Prepare for the EIT and take it your senior year. Earn a graduate degree while working full-time. Prepare for the PE, take it, and keep the license current. Now, in all this time, I have implicitly built everything I've talked about around what's called the Project Management Iron Triangle, which consists of cost, schedule, and scope in order to dictate quality. You will have to determine for yourself the cost, schedule, and scope of your education and the resulting quality you are willing to pay for in terms of time, money, and effort. In short, earning a PE license demands knowing exactly the requirements for achieving that goal before you start a college career. Such knowledge can save literally years of wasted effort and tens of thousands of dollars in squandered money. Building an academic career from high school forward with a PE license as the end goal reveals a highly efficient path to follow. This presentation shows step by step where to find that key information and how to implement it as quickly and affordably as possible. And that is the end of this presentation. Thank you for your time. Good luck to you. If you have questions or comments, feel free to use the comments section of this YouTube video. I'll do my best to respond in a timely and meaningful fashion. Thank you. Good luck.